Okay, good afternoon, everyone. I want to thank everybody who's watching us online this afternoon. Welcome to Beyond the Production. This is Opera San Antonio's bi-weekly live interview series that takes artists off the stage and into your homes to share their experiences and artistry with you. My name is Lauren Meeker, and I am the General and Artistic Director of Opera San Antonio. I'll be hosting today, and as always, with me this afternoon is my fantastic partner in crime, Francesco Miliotto. Hi, Francesco.
Hi, how are you, Lauren?
I am excellent. How are you on this Friday afternoon?
Doing just fine. Beautiful sunny day here in Chicago.
Awesome. Well, I'm super, super excited today, as always, I guess, because we have lots of great things to talk about and a fantastic guest. First things first, I want to start by thanking everyone who has watched Vinkensport or the Finch Opera. Vinkensport is the film that we released through Opera San Antonio a few weeks ago. And shout out to everybody watching. If you haven't seen it yet, it's still available on Marquee TV. And I'm going to put up a link at the bottom of the screen that shows you where you can go in order to watch this show. If you head to the website, operasa.org, and go to our upcoming performances, or go ahead and type in /Vinkensport HGO, you'll be able to see all of the watch instructions for both Vinkensport, which is airing for another week and a half, and also for our next production, which is the Impresario. So check it out. It's 45 minutes. It's a comedy. It's in English. It's a great way to dive into opera if you haven't experienced an opera yet, or even if you're a seasoned opera lover. Would you agree, Francesco?
I absolutely agree. I thought it was hilarious, and I think everyone should watch it and check it out. And then also the Impresario, of course. I'm looking forward to seeing that. But Vinkensport and the Impresario was all made possible because of the newly formed Texas Opera Alliance, and of course, our fabulous partnership with the Houston Grand Opera and the Austin Opera. And this same alliance also recently formed the Teen Opera Club of Texas, which met for the first time last week. And why is that important to all of us? Because Opera San Antonio is going to host the second meeting of this club on November the 16th, and the discussion will be led by our teen ambassador, Jenna Takach, who we have as our guest today. So why don't we all welcome Jenna Takach?
Yay! Hi, Jenna!
Hi, everyone.
Hi, Jenna. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Fabulous.
It's so good to have you joining us today. I could not be more thrilled.
I'm happy to be here.
So I want everybody to know who's joining us that Jenna has actually been with Opera San Antonio longer than either myself or Francesco.
Mind blown.
I'm pretty sure, Francesco, Jenna could just run the company right now.
100%.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I mean, for me, it's great to know that she has such a long history with the company. It's not, it's amazing that, and Jenna, I'm sure you'd agree, it's really fabulous when you sort of get to grow through a company like that, or the CCSA that we're going to talk about. And when you have sort of this longer history of growing with, and not only is it great for you, but it's great for us, because it's wonderful for us to see you grow and do that. And I know that you and your younger sister have been part of a lot of productions with us, but you in particular have been part of 4 productions with us. The fantastic Mr. Fox, you've done Carmen, you were part of La Boheme, your sister was in Macbeth, but you weren't. And then, of course, with Lauren and I, you were in Tosca. And I have to say, and for me, honestly, when I've worked with Chicago Children's Choir, a lot of obviously conducting operas, there's lots of children and younger people in them, and a lot of them. And I mean, Jenna, don't listen to this, but I have to say to everybody listening, I don't know that many young singers that I can say were as prepared, as professional, and as talented and as consistent as Jenna was, as you were. I'm pretending like you're not listening to me compliment. But it was a real joy and something that I will remember for a long time and compare unfortunately, for a lot of other people that are going to sing with me that are young, I'm going to compare them to you for a long time, because you were really, really one of the best young singers that I have had the pleasure of working with. So
Thank you so much.
There is your introduction from me.
I think it's a pretty fabulous introduction.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's safe to say, Jenna, you can tell we love you lots, and we're totally excited to have you joining us as OSA's team ambassador. So one of the things we love to do, Jenna, during these discussions is allow our audience to get to know you better. And I think it's pretty obvious from the fact that you've been with OSA right from the beginning, there's a true love for the arts in you as a person. But I want to walk our audience through a little bit about how the arts started to play important roles in your life and when. And I think if I'm right, Jenna, your first love was dance. Is that true?
That is true. So my mom put me in dance classes, you know, the standard ballet, jazz, tap when I was in kindergarten. And after
Me too, totally, 100%.
Yeah. And so after that, she kind of noticed me messing around on the piano at home, you know, playing some songs I'd heard in class. And she thought, oh, maybe we should get this kid in music lessons too. So from there, she signed me up for piano lessons, and I signed up for CCSA when I was in second grade. And the rest is pretty much history.
Fantastic. Wow. Jenna, we're getting a little bit of feedback on you. You might want to try turning your volume down. Let's just see if that helps just a little bit. Okay. So I think you grew up, Jenna, you know, like I did, and I'll just call myself out as being sort of dumped into really the classics of dance that young American girls are usually introduced to: ballet, tap, and jazz. But you've continued that, and you're still dancing and playing with other styles, even now at school. Is that correct?
Yeah. So at school, I'm still taking a ballet class just to keep my technique up and in check. I'm also exploring a contemporary modern class, and for part of my senior year of high school before quarantine hit, I got back into folklorico and flamenco classes, which was really awesome to do. And so, yeah, I love pretty much every genre of dance, and it's something that I want to do for the rest of my life.
Okay, so I want to dive into all of that a little bit more, and I'm going to start by pulling the three of us out of the stream and showing some photos to our audience that I'm going to click through really quickly, and then we can start to talk about what you're doing in all these photos. So hang with me, folks, for a moment. Okay, I love those photos. By the way, anybody who wants to know more about Jenna, follow her on Instagram. She's got great artistic photos like that, covering her the daily photos and things that she posts. So I know there's a flamenco image there, and then it looks like there's a couple of others from like a photo shoot, Jenna. So can you talk a little bit about the flamenco one and also about the others that we just showed?
Yeah, so the flamenco one was from a photo shoot for Fiesta Noche del Rio, which is a yearly show that happens at the Arneson River Theater downtown that, unfortunately, because of COVID, had to be canceled this season. So we took those photos, I think, in mid-February for our promotional flyers. And like I said, unfortunately, we didn't get to perform in the show, but hopefully next year it'll come back. And then the other photos were actually taken by my sister in our apartment complex.
Okay, so you guys dance and sing and are photographers. Got it.
Yeah, it's just, you know, just standard iPhone camera. We just wanted to have a little fun, take pictures. So yeah.
Now I have a question for you, just in putting all of this together, because I know all of these things, they have to be related at some point. Now, how does the dance that you do help you when you're on stage or when you're singing? Do you find that it helps having that strength, but more importantly, you know, as a coach and as, you know, I'm Lauren as a director as well, someone that is connected to their body in the way that you need to be in dance, and someone that has that improvisational and sort of natural movement, like that natural inkling for movement Do you find that that's helped you in your singing, in your staging, in your learning, in memorizing your staging, things like that? Has that combining all of these things together, how has that helped?
Yeah, I think having the dance background that I have has definitely made it a lot easier to pick up choreography and remember it. Just because I started so young, it comes really, really quickly to me, which I'm very thankful for. I think conversely, also music helps my dancing because, just being aware of the different phrases in the music and how composers write music, it's made me better able to translate that into movement.
Right.
One phrase that I like to use a lot is when I'm dancing, I'm making music visible.
Ooh, good phrase, Jenna.
Yeah. So they both play into each other quite a bit, and they help each other in different ways.
Jenna, you're getting a shout out from one of our fabulous board members, Linda Peschke, who says, beautiful pictures, Jenna. Hope to see you dance someday. Well, Linda, we're going to show you a little bit about what we are. So what I have found so difficult for all of us, Jenna, during COVID, especially those of us in the arts, is especially when quarantine was really happening towards, March, April, May. It was, you're not in dance classes anymore. You're not in choir classes anymore. You're not around that community. And it was much harder to create art, still is. But again, when I was looking at your Instagram, it seems like we're taking classes pretty frequently and finding ways online to keep creating art and studying. Can you tell us a little bit about what that was like for you?
Yeah, so right in the beginning of when quarantine hit, I noticed a whole bunch of brands and choreographers and dancers started doing live online classes on Instagram and Facebook for free. And so, I was at home all day, didn't have anywhere to go. And so I thought, well, I might as well take advantage of these opportunities to learn and grow and still stay positive during this time. Obviously, dancing at home is not ideal. I don't have a lot of space. And so I think you can see in the videos, I stumble a couple times. I have to mark some stuff because there's a bed right next to me.
Right.
But we're all doing what we can. And I think that's the really cool part is that I've been able to take classes from choreographers that I never would have gotten to otherwise because they live halfway around the world.
Yeah.
Right.
So yeah, that's definitely been a positive part of the whole quarantine situation.
Have you been just trying to do a bunch of different styles, or was it more the style or the choreographer that attracted you to the videos?
It was pretty much style, choreographer, anything that piqued my interest. I actually took an Indian dance class at one point, which I have absolutely no experience in, but I just wanted to try it, and it was really cool, and I'd like to explore it some more.
Wow.
I just have to say, brava, Jenna. It's been really hard for every person to find their path through COVID. And I think it's so inspiring that instead of walking away from the arts or, losing faith in them, that you found a way to dive in even more deeply. And I think that's really, really pretty extraordinary. So, Jenna, let me give you a chance to talk a little bit about what we're going to see in each of these videos before I show them. So the first one is in you in the driveway. What are we listening? Which I love. She was like, I'm dancing indoors. I'm dancing outdoors. I'm taking videos. I'm showing my work. What are we going to see and hear that we should know about in this video, Jenna?
Yeah, so the one where I'm outside in the parking lot is a musical theater combo choreographed by Chaz Wolcott. And he's an absolutely incredible choreographer. I took a class from him at a convention back in 2019. And, he teaches really, really fast, but his choreography is always just quick and moving and exciting. And so it's definitely a challenge, but I love it so, so much.
All right, well, let's take a look at the challenge you gave yourself.
As long as I'm singing, then the world's all right and everything's swinging. Long as I'm singing my song.
I love it. I'm like,
Wow.
so jealous that you've been doing that kind of movement, and it makes me want to go outside right now.
And so do you just like watch the video 1,000 times and press and stop and pause, or is it a long class where you get to go over the steps? I've never been in a dance class in my life.
Oh,
So I need to know, because I don't have any idea how you can remember to do all of that all in a row. Is it just pause, stop, stop? Or is like an hour-long class where they teach you slowly but slowly?
Yeah, so I've definitely done both of those kinds. I think that one in particular was an Instagram live class. So he would like move the camera from time to time or turn around because of the way Instagram mirrors it.
Right.
And so people could ask questions in the chat to like go over certain sections. But yeah, it was essentially a class where he couldn't see us, but we could still see him and ask questions.
Absolutely incredible that you learned to and remembered and did all of that stuff. I mean, to me, that's one of the things that I find fascinating about dancers. I mean, yes, music is music, but it's always printed, it's always written down. But learning a choreography and remembering things for like that long of a scene and all of the little details, I mean, it's absolutely incredible. And we have also a tap video of you. If you don't mind, could you help set up that video before we show that one?
Yeah, so that one was actually a challenge that went around in May, back when the song Tuesday Slide came out. And so Jared Grimes choreographed a tap version of I think he called it the tap Tuesday Slide. Wow. And so that was a challenge going around, and I participated in it, and then that's the result of that video.
Okay, so here's a quick little shot of yet another amazing dance skill that Jenna has found.
Wow.
Okay, I feel like I almost need to show that one again, because I just want people to listen to the sounds you're creating and how cleanly you're hitting your taps, and it's just awesome. So I'm just going to do that one again. Listen carefully to her feet.
Wow.
I'm massively impressed, Jenna. Tap is not easy, like 100% not easy.
So did you never tap before, or you did tap before?
I did when I was really young. I think for some reason when I was 7, I decided to not do tap anymore, and I didn't pick it back up until I was, I think, 13 or 14.
Wow.
So I guess I've been doing it consecutively for about 4 years now.
So cool. We're not the only ones who think so. Linda's saying yay and right on the beat. Veronica, who's our artistic administrator, saying wow, awesome, and fast feet. Madeline Elizondo is saying yay, Jenna. So like you're blowing all of our minds here at OSA, Jenna.
Thank you so much.
Your diverse amount of skill set here, specific to the arts. So we've got one more that I pulled, Jenna. This last one I think is also in your bedroom. Can you set this one up for us?
Yeah, so this one was a kind of more musical theater intensive day long of Zoom classes. So it's kind of like a virtual convention in a way. And so the cool thing about Zoom is that we can see each other, and she can see us and correct us, and we can ask questions verbally, which is obviously as close to a real dance class as we can get. So this was choreographed by Jordan Casanova, and it is to the song "Don't Rain," or I think it's called "Don't Rain on My Parade" from Funny Girl.
Yeah, a little Barbara Streisand up here.
Yeah.
Okay, give me 1 second. We'll take a look at this one too. Yay, Jenna. I also wanted to show those 3 clips because the styles are so different. And that's what I find so fascinating about what you're doing. And you've even said you've tried Indian, that you're just not stuck in one track. I mean, there were other clips I looked at where you're on point. There's other clips that are super contemporary and modern. I mean, you're all over the place in what interests you. And I mean all over the place in a really positive way. It's so exciting.
Yeah, when I was very young, I had instilled in me that well-roundedness is a really, really good virtue to have as an artist. And so I've kind of carried that with me throughout my whole life, to just always be trying new things and always learning and growing. Yeah, that's what I try to embrace.
So Linda actually took the words right out of my mouth. She says, love those kicks. I was going to say, look at that extension. Good job, Jenna. Excellent job. Loretta says, I got literal chills. Oh my God. M.E. Martinez says, fabulous. You've got very cools coming in. So woo, Jenna. Okay, but here's the thing. Dancing is not the only thing you do, Jenna.
Right. I mean,
backtrack.
So let's go back, Jenna. I mean, we were talking a little bit about the CCSA, and I really want to talk to you about that experience because when I first arrived to Chicago, having been an accompanist for the Chicago Children's Choir, and of course, seeing the same kids that I worked with before graduate, go and do things, and I've worked with after-school programs and things, I know how important these first experiences, not just by yourself with your teacher, but these first experiences with people your own age, with peers, you know, the hanging out, the tours, the trips, the concerts, the rehearsals, the friendships that you build, most importantly, the friendships and the mentors that you meet. So if you could take us back to your experiences at the CCSA, playing the piano, getting through all of that and signed you up, always through high school doing all of that. And then, of course, you know, your experiences through, most importantly, Opera San Antonio. All the way back. But
CCSA is the Children's Chorus of San Antonio.
Yeah.
That's what we're all talking about.
Yes.
Yeah. So go back, Jenna, and tell us how you got started with singing in CCSA.
Yeah, so like I said earlier, my parents noticed me messing around on the piano when I was a young girl, and they signed me up for piano lessons and they signed me up for CCSA. And I mean, I've been with CCSA for 11 years, and I've probably said this a billion times over the years, but CCSA really is like a family. So some of the friends that I met in second grade, I'm still best friends with to this day. You know, we grew up together in CCSA, we graduated together, we slept over, went on trips, the whole shebang. And especially during, I think it was during 2014, 2015, 2016, we went through a couple big changes as an organization. And so just having those friendships and those strong mentorships with our directors was really, really important, especially during all of the changes we went through.
Yeah.
Now tell me, I always have a question because it's always nice to ask somebody that's gone through that long of a process of it. And of course, when you're in it and you're so young, you don't really realize what you're learning, how it's affecting you, and what it's instilling in you. So tell me what you took away, other than, of course, friendships and things like, but musically, discipline, styles, different things that you did, whether you were in like a special group of a cappella singing or whatever. What were the experiences that sort of highlight your mind and that, you know, now looking back, you're able to take and apply to everything that you're doing going forward?
So, I mean, the first thing that comes to mind is just the ability to learn music quickly. And so our founding director, Marguerite McCormick, used to do, I think she called them like music checks, where she would give us, she would say at the first week of choir, okay, you have until next week to learn measures 10 through 20. And then the next week she'd give us like a couple seconds to look over them and then have us do it from memory, and then go back and check any spots we had missed. And so I think from a really young age, I learned how to not force myself to memorize, but develop those memorization skills that have helped me in school. They helped me in dance. They've helped me in later choirs. I think another big thing that I learned was determination. And especially as I got older, a lot of the songs we were doing were very, very complicated. And especially in the early days when we were learning them, it was really easy to kind of like give up hope and think, oh, we're never going to learn this. It's so hard. It's not going well. But they kind of instilled in us to just always keep working on it and keep trying and keep practicing. And by the time the concert came, it was beautiful. And so determination and memorization skills are two of the biggest things that I can think of.
Did they do a wide variety of repertoire?
Yeah. So I can remember we've sung in German, we've sung in Spanish, we've sung in a couple of songs in Portuguese, which were particularly difficult. We've done everything from Bach to Ola Yelo, who is one of my favorite composers. So yeah, just a wide variety of music from different cultures and time periods and languages.
Did they ever do any choreography or have any accompaniment other than a piano? Did you ever play with an orchestra? Did they do collaborations, like obviously with Opera San Antonio, but did you do things in the community? What was the sort of outreach of that and the width with which they gave you all this program and experience rather than just straight choir piano?
Yeah, absolutely. We've done a couple collaborations with the San Antonio Symphony with Holiday Pops. We've also collaborated with, the name escapes me, a marimba group.
Okay.
The name escapes me at the moment. I'll probably remember it later, but a marimba group, which was absolutely fantastic to sing with.
Awesome.
Yeah, so we've done a bunch of community outreaches at, different caroling events. We did one last year at a restaurant downtown. We've done some at hotels.
Wow.
Yeah, and then in terms of choreography, we have done a little bit. There's no large scale like musical numbers, but
right. It's not a
we've
show
done a
choir.
couple Sorry?
It's not a show choir, in other words.
Yeah, exactly. So we've done a couple pieces where, each section has like specific arm movements for different phrases in the piece. Or, maybe one or two kids are out front acting out a scene. A couple of the younger choirs have done that a couple times.
Oh, so it's different levels of choir and different ages? Or is it everyone together all the time?
Yeah, so I believe we have 5 or 6 choirs ranging in age from kindergarten to senior in high school. And for different songs, different choirs will combine with each other. Sometimes it'll be like the top 3 age groups. Other times the younger kids will all combine. And then usually at our full concerts, we do 1 or 2 songs with everyone singing all at once, which is a really, really powerful thing.
Wow, that's amazing. And I mean, for me, those things are the most incredible. And the part where you get to go and do the tours and work in the community and do all of that. I mean, it's just such an incredible experience for that. So I'm really grateful to see someone go through the whole thing and then be able to look back and take those positives and apply them forward. I think that's an incredible thing. And now about a little bit about your experience with Opera San Antonio. And then moving all the way up to the Tosca.
We met you, I guess I would have met you on Bohème, which was the second show that I did at Opera San Antonio as a director, but the first one with CCSA. And then all 3 of us were back together on Tosca. So hopefully you'll say something positive, Jenna, but how has that experience? Or you could throw us under the bus, whatever you want, but how has that experience been? Because that's a whole nother avenue. Like working with a symphony is different than a marimba group, is different than an opera. So what does that feel like?
Yeah, absolutely. So I got my start in Opera San Antonio through CCSA. So when Fantastic Mr. Fox was the first production of the new company, they asked CCSA to provide 4 fox cubs and a chorus of trees from their young singers. So I got the opportunity to sing Fantastic Mr. Fox through that. And then again with Carmen, Bohème, and Tosca, Opera San Antonio reached out to CCSA and said, hey, would you like to provide some singers? And I was able to do all those opportunities. And yeah, it's just been an absolutely amazing experience. I look back on each opera with really, really fond memories. There were some late nights and there were some very tiring and difficult rehearsals, but overall it was so incredible to work with such amazing artists and work in a professional environment that I wouldn't have the opportunity to be in if I weren't with CCSA.
Cool.
You know, it was really cool to build not only my musical artistry, but also like on stage acting, paying attention to the conductor, paying attention to the music, singing with everyone, not just, you know, singing a solo on stage, or just paying attention to those around you, paying attention to the conductor on the screen, in the pit. And you have to also be aware of people around you on stage too. One scene that comes to mind is in La Boheme, the party scene, where there were people crossing the stage and crossing behind each other, and each person had like a very specific lane to move in. And so you had to be very, very aware of everything going on around you. Otherwise, chaos could ensue.
Mm-hmm.
You've been fabulous at tackling all of the different things that being on stage requires during an opera performance. So we happened to, when we did Tosca, there's a role in the final act that's listed as the shepherd boy. Although I don't know why it has to be a boy. So I broke the rules and we let everybody audition from CCSA. And typically the role is sung off stage. You're watching a changing of the guards. It doesn't have to be an on-stage moment. But Francesco and I started working with you, Jenna, and we thought, oh my gosh, she has so much to offer. Why not give her the opportunity to be able to be on stage and not just a behind the scenes voice? So I actually went back and found a clip of you from our Tosca last year singing in Act 3. And special credit to, of course, our cast and creative team, also Francesco for conducting, and of course, the musicians of the San Antonio Symphony who were collaborating with us on this production as well. So let's take a look, Jenna, at what you've been doing with us most recently. Okay, what I also love about that, Jenna, is that because we put you on stage, you get to get applause, which never happens in that moment, which is so, so great.
Yeah, that was awesome.
I'll bet feel like to be on a stage the size of the Tobin Center, because we have a pretty enormous house here in San Antonio. It's much different than being in a school auditorium. You know, we're closer to 1,600 seats and a 60-foot proscenium. It's really incredible.
Yeah, it's definitely a little bit intimidating when you first get out there. Not only from like an artistic standpoint of having to project your voice that far, but just psychologically knowing that there's so many people watching you. But I think once you do it a couple times and you get on the stage and the lights are out and you can't see anyone looking at you, it's just, you just kind of get into the zone in a way. And yeah, it just kind of, you get into that zone and it kind of happens more naturally.
But most importantly, you never drop the orange.
I never dropped the orange.
That's the most important thing. We would always see each other backstage and I would always walk by her and I'd be like, remember, whatever you do, don't drop the orange.
I remember you actually really frightened me at one point because I think my back was to you. And you came up behind me.
I came up behind. Yes. But you did such
Yeah.
a wonderful job. It was so great, so consistent, so wonderful. I mean, it was really, really great to have you there with us for that Tosca. So great.
Thank you. It was incredible.
Bravo.
So now here you are, having done things like Tosca with us. You've been dancing your way through the summer, and you graduated from high school. And now you're in a whole new world called college in COVID. So let's talk a little bit about that. Jenna, where are you currently going to school, and how did you choose the school, and what are you studying?
Yeah, so I am going to Swarthmore College, which is a liberal arts school about 15 minutes west of Philly. And I ended up here because I applied through a scholarship program back in November, December of last year. And so once I found out I got in, it was an early decision. It was an early decision, which meant that I was in and I didn't have to worry about college applications the rest of the year, which was fantastic.
Fabulous.
So I found out I got in last year, and then COVID hit, and I wasn't sure if we would be able to come on campus. So eventually they decided that freshmen and sophomores would be allowed on campus and juniors and seniors would be learning remotely. So I'm on campus with the majority of my friends that I had made online, which is, it's amazing to be able to see them in person now and to go have lunch and study together. But it is definitely a challenge with some of my classes being virtual. So I have one class that is in person, and that's my ballet class, which I'm incredibly thankful that I get to dance with others once again. But yeah, virtual learning is, as I'm sure anyone can tell you, is a challenge. It is hard to stay motivated sometimes. And yeah, it's just hard to not be with people and, you know, see your professors in person to ask questions. But I am very thankful to be on campus and to just have access to all these resources to study and stay healthy.
So is it smaller classes that you do in bigger rooms? It must be the same ballet and dance rooms and everything is it just like reduced people and more layering of the students to the teacher and stuff? How is all of that being taken care of?
Yeah, so my ballet class in particular has a mix of students in person and online, just because we have freshmen through seniors. So we have, I want to say, about 10 people on Zoom and 10 people in the studio. And so we're all able to stay 6 foot distance. We have to wear masks. But yeah, I'm very lucky to have been able to do that in person. And there are other in-person or hybrid classes going on. So some of the small seminar courses, if they have enough students on campus, are able to meet in person. And there are a couple campus-sponsored events, you know, socially distanced, go grab a cupcake on the lawn and talk about life. Yeah.
Wow. I mean, then you said that there's other classes that you're doing that are also online. There are choir classes that you're doing online as well?
Yeah. So our director, Joseph Gregorio.
400 Zoom people at the same time? What's happening there?
Yeah. So I think we have about 45 or 50 people in the choir. The Swarthmore chorus in particular is comprised of people on campus, so students and members of the community who also want to sing.
Oh, fabulous.
So we have people who are in college all the way up to senior citizens who are singing with us. So we're all meeting on Zoom, and we're going to be performing 2 virtual choir pieces. And so a lot of our rehearsals consist of our director sending out MIDI files ahead of time to practice. And so then the rehearsals, sometimes we'll do sectionals, sometimes we'll be all together. We basically just clarify any questions, go over some parts, and we usually do a social hour at the end just to maintain our sanity and to get to know people.
And is it like I know the MIDI file would be of your parts and stuff like that, but then is there there must be a recorded accompaniment or orchestral track or something?
I have a question before you ask about the accompaniment. You guys are using a word MIDI, which I think a lot of people don't know what that is. Francesco, can you describe that for folks who are watching?
I mean, it's just it's different files that you get that you would probably get of someone either playing like on a keyboard or through electronically or recorded on a piano sometimes, whatever it is that would be actually specific to your part so that you can play it back to yourself on your phone or any other device you have. They're just electronic files of your actual part that you want to sing, and then of course a recorded track. But also you could MIDI the same thing on an electric keyboard. You could either play it in or punch in the notes on the computer, and the computer will, with whatever sound you choose, be able to sort of realize all of that. And you can then play that on multiple. I mean, MIDI is great because you can use it on any device. It's not for one or the other. So we're
using those a lot with newer operas that are being created in particular. It's a really helpful tool to teach and learn and get a sense of what a piece sounds like before you can hear it with a piano or an orchestra. So I'm really excited to hear that you're using that tool. And okay, so then go forward and answer Francesca's next question, which was about the accompaniment and how does that work?
Yeah, so we have MIDI files for each different voice part, and we have one MIDI file that is all voice parts together. The two pieces in particular that our director chose to perform are a cappella. So we don't have an accompaniment track for them.
Smart.
So what he's deciding to do is video himself conducting, along with conducting and counting. And so when we actually film, I think he wants us to like clap on a certain beat in order to synchronize all of our files. And then we just watch his conducting video while we're recording ourselves.
That's awesome. That's fantastic. So clean, so nice.
Such an amazing new world that we've entered, and it makes me really excited for how we're using technology. It makes me really sad for what we're missing, but then really excited again when I think about getting out through the other side of this and when we can start to use these new skills and new tools and combine them with, in-person classes and live performances and things like that.
Sorry, I want to ask one question.
Yeah.
This is very interesting to me because I don't remember in my college or anything that is this a new thing where you get to perform with senior citizens and people that are outside of the college as part of this choir, or is this a new thing because of COVID, or is this just how it normally is? I mean, that to me is super interesting.
Yeah, so the Swarthmore chorus in particular has always been comprised of students and community members because we're such a small school.
Right.
We're such a small school that they've invited community members to sing. We also have a group called the Garnet Singers, which is a select ensemble of only students. But unfortunately, they're not operating this semester. We're just doing the chorus.
Right, of course. That's just an interesting thing. I love that.
So now talk a little bit, Jenna, because everything that we've been discussing so far isn't enough in your life. I think you've also been involved with something called Broadway Evolved. Is that true? Last January?
Yeah. So in January, Broadway Evolved, which is Betsy Wolf's Broadway training program that usually happens for a couple weeks in the summer in New York City. They decided this year to go on a tour and just offer one-day intensives in a couple cities around the U.S. And so back in January, they came to San Antonio, and I was able to go to it. And it was I think it was 8 hours of an acting workshop, a dance workshop, a audition workshop where we workshopped our songs, and a meet and greet with 2 actors from Miss Saigon, which had been in San Antonio. I think it was in San Antonio that week.
Great.
Wow.
So that was another incredible experience.
Oh, that's fantastic. And so I know we usually talk about, and we have already hit on sort of the trajectory of how you started and came through. But for me, I'd also like to know about not only how the arts, of course, has impacted your life, but also your education in San Antonio. And I know that you went to a charter school, which was STEM focused. So you had to do your musical stuff outside of school as well. But then, so that just, you're doing the opposite of what I did. I went to an art school. I was like, they literally, when we moved to this area in Canada, was the first year that this high school was changed into an art school. And so I was part of the first class of that. So my high school experience is 100% different from yours probably. But can you talk a little bit about what it's like to grow up and do all of these things, particularly in San Antonio, and how you had to, I mean, people don't realize it's like you did even more than I had to do, like get to rehearsal at 7:30 in the morning and then go to school, which was mostly rehearsals anyway, and then stay until 7:30, 8 o'clock at night doing more school on top of my own practicing and things like that. But you had a different experience than that. So can you talk about that in San Antonio and that particular experience a little bit?
Yeah. So because, like you said, because I went to a charter school, we didn't have as much funding devoted to the arts. You know,
Right.
a lot of our funding was devoted to the STEM fields and to academic UIL and all that.
Mhm.
But I think that kind of speaks to the point that you don't need to go to an art school to have a career in the arts.
Mhm.
Obviously, it's a great head start, and if you want to pursue that path, go right ahead.
Mhm.
Personally, like I said earlier, I wanted to kind of be a more well-rounded person and have that academic background as well. So it would help me, develop a potential career outside of the arts.
Right.
And so what I'm planning on doing in college is double majoring in either psychology and dance or psychology and music.
Fabulous.
That way, I mean, what this pandemic has taught me is that, you can't necessarily rely on arts all the time because, what if theaters close again? What if we can't hold in-person shows? And so, I really want to have that, I guess I call it a backup in a way.
So psychology.
Yeah.
Wow. Something that you've been interested in for a very long time, just recently.
So freshman year of high school, I took an AP psychology class and I kind of just fell in love with it then. And
Wow.
yeah.
See, and what I love about everything that you're doing, Jenna, is that yes, of course, you're very drawn to the arts, and that sounds like something that will always be a part of your life, but you're learning skills in dance classes, in choir classes that you're applying to other parts of your life. And that's why I think whether you end up, not you, Jenna, whether anyone ends up becoming an artist or not, arts classes help so many facets of the rest of what people can study or train to become. And I love how you're mashing them up to create a really unique story for you.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Is there a particular side of psychology that you like? Like you want to work with children? You want to work with people affected by trauma? Do you want to work with, is there anything any version of it that you are interested in?
Yeah, I definitely am interested in developmental psychology and child psychology. So I don't know for sure whether I'd want to work as a therapist, but I would definitely want to explore working with children in some facet.
Great.
Awesome.
So I'm pretty sure, Francesco, you would echo my sentiments that all of the awesomeness that we've been talking about that Jenna brings to the table is 100% why we chose her to be the OSA Teen Ambassador. I can't imagine a more awesome person to help us on this next adventure. So the OSA Team Ambassador came around because of TOA, otherwise known as the Texas Opera Alliance. And very quickly after forming the Texas Opera Alliance, the companies talked about forming the Teen Opera Club of Texas. And it's just had its first meeting last week. We're headed into the next one in a few weeks with OSA. And it's quickly becoming the biggest club for teens, hosted by 5 of the Lone Star State's leading opera companies. So obviously OSA is involved, Austin Opera, Dallas Opera, Fort Worth Opera, and Houston Grand Opera. And what we're trying to do with this club is meet once a month with teens, which really could be from all over the world, just happens to be hosted by these 5 companies. And it gives you guys a chance to socialize with each other, to fall in love with the arts, to meet other teens from other cities and maybe even countries and learn a little bit more about who they are. And all of these events are going to showcase things like new commissions written for younger audiences, or the ins and outs of how to put a production together, and getting to talk to artists from across the field. So it's for anybody whose ages 13 to 19. We already have about 33 members and counting. And I really want to encourage everyone who is listening either live now or later, if you want to join the Teen Opera Club, you can head to the link that I'm putting at the bottom of the screen right now. You just need to go to operasanantonio.org/education. And there'll be a link within that page where you can discover more about the Texas Opera Alliance, the Teen Opera Club, and how to become a member. And so, as I mentioned, we're going to have the next event be part of Opera San Antonio's presentation. The first one was hosted by Houston Grand Opera, and they did this really cool watch party for one of their most recent commissions, which actually happened during COVID. And it's called Katie and the Strongest of the Strong. Jenna, can you tell us a little bit about what that piece was about?
Yeah, so Katie, the Strongest of the Strong, was based on the life of Austro-American weightlifter Katie Brumbach-Sanduina, and it basically details her rise to fame as she outlifted the strongest man in the world, joined the circus, and then eventually became an icon of the women's suffrage movement.
Fantastic.
So it was absolutely incredible to watch.
Fabulous. Can you tell us a little bit about first meeting, the interactions with all the other members, what it was like?
Yeah, it was honestly really, really refreshing to to meet new friends, see some old friends, and just watch this completely new commission. It was almost like going to see a show for the first time, but from the comfort of my dorm room. And it was also really, really cool to be able to discuss with the other club members in the chat, discuss what we liked, and then have a brief conversation with one of the cast members and the composer afterwards.
Oh,
so yeah, it was absolutely incredible to experience, and I would definitely encourage any teens watching to go and sign up, because number one, it's free. Number two, it's an amazing social connection, and number three, you just get to see these incredible operas without having to pay $1.
Yeah, fantastic. So OSA's, I think we misspoke a little bit earlier. OSA's going to host the next one, which is on November 19th. I think we said the 16th, and that was my fault for bad notes. November 19th at 6:30 Central Time. So y'all have lots of time to be able to sign up and come join us. Like Jenna said, it's free and open to everybody. And this is why we're so excited to have Jenna with us. It's going to be a Zoom gathering, and Jenna is going to lead the club on a really fun conversation. Jenna, what are we going to be exploring with you?
Yeah, so I'm going to lead a conversation with the cast and creative team from Lauren's production of The Cunning Little Vixen. And that is a tale of nature meeting humanity, and it has some really, really awesome music and costumes and scenery. So the team is going to discuss what it's like being in an opera and what they did to bring that world to life.
I'm so excited.
I'm so excited to see this whole thing. I mean, if there are any teens out there between the ages of 13 and 19 watching this interview, please, please, please join the club. It's going to be a lot of fun. You get to meet the set designer, the costume designer, the choreographer, and two of the stars of the show. So we're going to put that link up again. But if anyone is listening, or or you have any kids that would be interested in doing this, or anyone or your friends, please, please, please have them join this club, which I think is just I wish I had this when I was a teen. I really do.
It's going to be great fun, and I can't wait for everybody to join us and have some snacks and meet some awesome artists and talk about art. What could be more fun right now? Jenna, you're a total rock star, I have to say. So well-spoken, so creative, such a joy to be with. I cannot thank you enough for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me. This was amazing.
Of course. So a big thank you to you, but also, as always, a big thank you to our audience who's watching live and to folks who may be joining after. If anybody's watching this now and you want to share the news, the broadcast will remain up and active on OSA's Facebook page and on Instagram. Nope, I don't mean Instagram. I mean YouTube. Sorry. It'll remain up on Facebook and YouTube. And so you can check it out and share it. And hopefully that'll inspire some more folks to come join our teen opera club. And it will be back with Beyond the Production in another 2 weeks. In the meantime, OSA is starting a new series that's a Spanish language version of Beyond the Production. That's going to be called Charlas Musicales, and it will be on Wednesday afternoon, this coming Wednesday at noon. And it'll be a lovely conversation with Ceci Duarte will be the host, and Rafael Moras, who's a native of San Antonio and a phenomenal tenor, will be her first guest. So make sure you come check us out. So thank you again to everybody who's watching. Thank you, Francesco, as always, for joining me. And we'll see you everybody very soon.
Thank you, Jenna. Ciao.
Thank you.